The Seattle Mariners have put together 7 series wins in a row. Now this one, a 2-game series, we'll call that a dusting. It's what everyone on the stream wants to call it. This 2-game series against the Angels, Joe and I are going to break it down and what went right for the Mariners and a few things that went wrong for them, but mainly everything went right. The thing that did go wrong, the injuries. And we're going to have to talk about that in the next segment here. Luke Raley is going to be out for quite some time. Joe's going to have his Operation Overreaction, which I don't know what it is yet. He's keeping it locked up. It's a secret. Right before we talk about the Texas Rangers series that starts on Friday. Thank you guys so much for watching episode 187 of the Hit It Here podcast, part of the Bleav Network, available on all your favorite podcasting platforms. This is the Chris Still episode of the podcast. Coach, my old baseball coach. This is your episode, buddy. And I am here with Joseph. How we feeling after a 2-game dusting?
Expected. They should have beat the Angels, who are like what, 3 of their last. They're 3-12 their last 15 games.
Really bad.
Really bad. Mariners 15-5 over their last 20. I think at that point. That's not right. Is that right? Were they 14-5? No. There's no way. I don't know. It doesn't matter. 7 series wins in a row. They started off 3-8. They're now 18-12. They're doing good. They're winning baseball games, and they're winning games that they should, I'd say. Both these games against the Angels definitely had the makings of, oh, don't lose a stupid game to the Angels in April. But the Mariners held on, specifically game 1, courtesy of Jorge Polanco. Another start by Bryce Miller that, sure, he leaves unscathed, but he walked 5 batters in that game. Strikes out 6. Not what you want to see, specifically after all the rumblings we heard about Miller and his inability to bounce back. And there was some, post-game updates about Miller, how his back locked up pre-game. He did not sit down in between innings because he didn't want it to hinder him even more. Hopefully, that's not a consistent and a persistent issue for Bryce, because you already lost Logan for an undisclosed amount of time. You've been without George for the first month of the season. Losing a third starting pitcher of the 5 by the end of the first month would be a very, very tough pill to swallow and a battle to have to bounce back from, I think, from the Mariners. Their offense has been good enough to mitigate any of those issues on the pitching side, specifically in game 1, like I mentioned. Miller, Spire, not his sharpest. Gives up 1. Legumina does let in another, so 2 earned runs. I think that's Gabe Spire's now 3rd earned run of this season. Still pitched well the entire month of April. Looked more so like 2023 Game Spider. But you wish it could have gone a little bit more smooth so they didn't have to use Munoz in that first game, but 11 for 11 in save ops. Game 1 didn't have to be as close, but it was.
Yeah, Bryce Miller, like you said, just continues to really struggle with his command, walking a career-high 5 in this game. It's worrisome. It really is, because, again, we know how injury-riddled this entire team is right now. Not just, the rotation of the bullpen, but even on the offensive side of things. Right now, they're still finding a way to put together some victories, but as the depth slowly gets, what's the right word here?
Continues to get trimmed. It's getting thinner.
Yeah. Then, I start to have some worries. We'll talk about that. After we talk about game 2, this game started by Emerson Hancock versus Tyler Anderson. You had the right-handed hitting lineup in there. Cal was getting a DH day. Jorge Polanco was getting the day off in this game, although he did have a pinch hit appearance and ruined his 6-game hitting streak. I don't know why they brought him in, but the bases were loaded. Maybe you wanted to score some more runs, which they did anyway. Anyways, long story short, the Mariners won this game 9-3, but it was pretty dang close up until the 7th inning when the Angels were just the Angels.
The wheels fall off about as where you'd expect them to for the Angels. Anderson gives you 6 strong-ish innings, settled in after the first couple. I think he retired 9 batters in a row at one point. Hancock, similarly, got hit around a little bit. I think Angels scored 3 runs on 10 hits, but limited damage. It was another quality start, I believe, for Emerson Hancock in this one. So got over the T-Mobile Park demons, the ghosts from that first start. He's no longer just a road warrior. He was able to pitch at home in T-Mobile, albeit against the Angels, but it is still a professional baseball club, even though they might be the Los Angeles Angels of Disneyland, as Colton likes to call them. The wheels fell off for the Angels in the 7th inning as the Mariners tacked on 6. They took advantage of a poor bullpen, a maybe mismanaged bullpen as well. I don't fully know, but it's just Reed Detmers comes in relief. We've seen him be a starter in years past, and he just was not good, did not look sharp. And the Mariners took advantage of that, and JP drove in 2 runs with Rivas and Samad Taylor on 3rd and 2nd at one point, and then that gives them the lead of 3-5. They just continued to add on in that inning, and that's something that you'd like to see consistently. So that way, one, they didn't have to lean on any high leverage arms necessarily in this game. With a 6-run cushion heading into the 8th and 9th inning, it made sense, the bullpen decisions that were made with going to Edward Bizardo. My apologies. I always just say Edward. It just is, it's quicker. It's more efficient for me. And then I said, why not just have him finish out both? But then thought about, Troy Taylor probably should get a little, some reps under his belt for this one. And he finishes out the game. Mariners do win that final one, 9-3.
Yeah, nice for Troy Taylor to get a pretty just easy inning. You're up by 6, really low stakes. It's against the Angels. Like, they're a bad baseball team. And you know what? It's hard to sweep in baseball, but it's not as hard to dust. And that is what the Mariners did in this series. But it did not come without consequences, unfortunately. First and foremost, we saw that Dylan Moore was going on the injured list with hip inflammation. I think that was actually prior to this series. But nonetheless, he was placed on the injured list during this series.
Tweaked it in Boston.
Yeah, so Dylan Moore's been one of your hottest hitters. That was a pretty big blow. They were then called up Samad Taylor, who played, obviously, in the second game of the series. And then Luke Raley in batting practice. I don't know if you guys saw the video, but it looked pretty bad. It's being classified from that swing that he went down in pain. It's being classified as an oblique strain, a grade 1 to a grade 1 plus. They said 6 weeks until they even discuss a rehab assignment, which is rough. That is,
That puts you in the middle of June at the earliest to then be like, okay, he can go start playing game level stuff again in the middle of June.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect him back before the trade deadline, honestly. I think that if you get him back any earlier than that, that is probably best case scenario.
Okay.
With the information that we've been handed. And oblique injuries are finicky. It's really easy to re-injure him, especially with how violently he swings
and runs
and does literally anything. He probably brushes his teeth violent. I think that the Mariners made the right move when they called up Rylan Thomas in that spot. I don't know how many at-bats he's really going to get. But I think that he's a guy who makes a lot of contact and it just makes sense to add to this team right now. I still think Tyler Locklear should be up with this team, but that's neither here nor there. There was one more injury update during this series as well about George Kirby, who threw to hitters the other day in T-Mobile Park. Joe, what did we hear about George?
Was it at T-Mobile? I thought he threw like 40 pitches to 2 like Aqua Sox batters is what I read.
Maybe. Yeah.
But maybe he threw off the mound in T-Mobile as well. I haven't fully... I'm not sure on either, if it's one or the other, or if it's both. It doesn't really matter. But the rehab starts are coming for George soon. So we expect what, 2, 3 rehab starts?
I'd say probably 3.
3, just like fully build up to game level stuff. Like he'll go 2, 3 innings the first one, 3, 4 in the second, and then 5 maybe in that final one. So expect George back in 3 weeks, roughly, if things are going well in those rehab starts. So end of May, I think you can pencil George likely to make his season debut for the Mariners, which is positive injury news given all of the injury news that the Mariners have been receiving lately. The fact that we've got good news from George. Also, Brash pitched it, I think, in back-to-back games as well the other day in Tacoma. So there's some reinforcements on the pitching side coming, which and also, it's not to say that they shouldn't be, they should still be like cautious with George as well. Shoulder soreness and just being shut down for as long as he has been to start the season specifically, and also just like how the rest of the rotation has fared as far as injuries are concerned, it's kind of scary that you got to make sure George is fully healthy. He is 100% right before he goes and takes the ball again, even in a rehab start, but let alone in T-Mobile Park or in a major league setting. So exciting news for George, but still remaining cautiously optimistic, I think, about what he's looking at going forward as far as a timeline is concerned. Dylan Moore, he should be back in like 2 weeks, I feel
He said
like.
he thinks he will be.
Yeah, so that's another situation where, yes, he's been a really good player for you. Will Rylan Thomas just get optioned at that point after being called up for the Luke Raley spot? I imagine so, unless there's another guy that's scuffling really heavily and they like the flexibility in the outfield with Rylan Thomas, specifically since he's a left-handed batter. But the thing that sucks about Luke Raley being on the injured list for at least 6 weeks, maybe more, if you are that, I don't want to say pessimistic, but your timeline putting him into August, I mean, that's a long time.
Mm-hmm.
You're looking at like 12 weeks, I think, around, give or take, maybe like 10 weeks. So he is an engine, a motor for this team. First guy out of the dugout on any walk-off, no matter what. You're going to miss that. Similar to Victor, like they're like kind of like the heart and soul of the team at times. And those kind of, what's that word? Not intangible. Those kind of intangibles are hard to come by, and I think you miss them more than you realize as you get into long stretches of games where maybe the Mariners will play 9 games in 10 days, and you're just like going through like a really tough schedule. The schedule maker did Colton 30 again. They're going to be, it hasn't affected them yet, but losing guys like Raley, Victor, and Dylan Moore for any amount of time, especially when they're typically playing well. I know Raley has been kind of touch and go, but it seemed like he was starting to get things going for him this year as of late. Missing them for any amount of time is going to be detrimental to the team. Thankfully, the guys that the Mariners have been asked to call upon in those situations have been playing well. The bottom third of the order has been probably the most pleasant surprise for me in 2025 so far of, okay, Rivas is just going to continuously just get on base. Mastrobuoni will come up and get a clutch base hit. Samad Taylor dropped down a beautiful bunt with Detmers on the mound in the final game against the Angels. Like, they are scrappy, they know how to get on base, and they can cause chaos. Which, if this Mariners offense, second best offense in all of baseball, also has a bit of chaos sprinkled in every once in a while, the offense can continue to lead them to wins and series wins, even if the pitching is banged up and even if their core players are also a bit banged up as well.
Yeah, I think the thing with guys like Rylan Thomas and whatnot is how far can we truly expect them to be able to take this team? Because if Luke does have to be out for, like I said, 10 to 12 weeks, including the rehab assignment and everything, which, again, is probably the most pessimistic look at it, but can you really survive with Rylan Thomas out there in right field that long? Can you really survive with, the other guys that the Mariners have kind of taking those roles? Sure, they're great now. They've done all right so far. Can you rely on that to continue? And we talked about it a little bit on stream. The Mariners probably need to make a move. Some sort of move, some sort of acquisition. And the guy that I think we both agree on the most, which is probably also the guy that's going to be the hardest to get, is Cedric Mullins.
He's pretty tough to get at this point, just how well he's playing. I don't think the Orioles are necessarily like a hard team to trade with, given starting pitching injuries and also how poor they've been, but the Mariners do not find themselves in a great spot to trade from their starting pitching depth unless they turn towards minor leaguers that are maybe further away. But Mullins is a guy that if you told me, say we're past the trade deadline, I would not be surprised if Mullins is a Seattle Mariner at that point, given current team success and if they stay on that path.
Mm-hmm. He's in the last year of his deal. He's making like a little over $8 million. The Orioles suck. They're at the bottom of the division, in a division that has the Yankees.
Red Sox are playing well again.
Right.
Yeah.
What use do they have to keep him? You know what I mean? They may as well trade him if he's playing so well. It would be a rental. It'd be just the rest of the year sort of guy. And sure, if guys get healthy, then maybe there's some conversation to be had about, who's going to play where? But the way baseball normally works out is one guy will get healthy, another guy's going to get hurt.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the way we've just seen it where everybody gets hurt right now. So the Mariners in the past have gone out and made moves early. Think about when they went and got Carlos Santana.
Yeah.
That was a reaction to them losing Ty France.
I think that was that in early June?
Yeah, I think so. Might have been late May even.
Yeah, late May, early June feels right for that timeline.
One trade that was absolutely, I'm 98% sure was late May, was Alex Colomé and Denard Span. And that was a great trade for the Mariners.
Yeah.
And so I think that the timing is right, where maybe not right this second because we're not even into May yet. But if we get to the end of May and we're still not hearing great things about, where Luke is, where Victor is, maybe Logan is out for the year, right? Like,
yeah, they'll make a move at some point, right?
They need to make a move in regards to that. The first base continues to suck.
Yeah.
Like, one thing that people have mentioned a lot in streams was Nathaniel Lowe and Kyle Finnegan from the Nationals. It'd be a pretty penny you'd have to give up, but that's a team that probably isn't going anywhere this year. Those are guys that probably should be expendable to them. And I think that if the Mariners were to go out there and try to make that move, you add Lowe at first base, you add Finnegan to your bullpen, which bolsters it completely, then yeah, that's a good move. Now, if that's the only moves they make for the trade deadline, I'm not horribly upset, but I would like them to add more. There's just, we talked about it on stream as well, so many things and so many variables up in the air right now with this team. We don't know anything about Logan. We don't necessarily know when, we have a better idea, but we don't know for sure when George is going to start this rehab assignment and if he's going to get through it healthy. There's so many things with this team that it's all in flux. It's so hard to tell exactly what they need to go out there and do. I just do not feel comfortable trying to ride the wave of Leo Rivas, Ben Williamson, Samad Taylor, Ryland Thomas, Donovan Solano, and Rowdy Tellez. I just named 7 of the 26 guys on the roster.
Miles, did you say Miles?
Miles Mastroboni, 7 of the 26 guys on this roster.
Yep.
And I'm not comfortable with any of those 7.
For the entirety of a season. Like, you're
Correct.
comfortable with a handful of them, maybe like 3 of them being guys that you can have in a role player position, but as it stands right now, they're playing above their expected role. Mm-hmm. Granted, they're also, I think, playing above their expected clip, the back of their baseball card. It's going to look better after this year for some of them. Obviously, Donovan Solano, not so much. But the move to make, sure, there's no. I thought you were. I didn't think you were itching your ear. I thought you were going yes. The move to make is not one right now, I don't think, because it's just who out there is really that available that you can really turn to and say, oh, we can get this guy for a reasonable cost. Like, I just don't think that making this trade, I think making a trade on April 30th or May 1st would be an overreaction by the Mariners front office, just in general. Yes, they're pretty thin as far as their depth is concerned, and that can be a problem for them long term. But I think they're, like all of us, are waiting for more information about the guys that they likely are hoping to get back in 2025 at some point. They need more news and updates around those guys first. My Operation Overreaction has nothing to do with like trades or anything.
I really thought that was where that was going. No. I thought you were taking us on a journey.
No, it was just a classic misdirection.
All right, perfect. Well, Joe, what is your... Actually, you know what? No, I have a gripe first. I have a gripe. And it is once again with the MLB scheduler. The Mariners, after this road trip, they come back home for a short little homestand. I want to say it's 6-7 games. And then they go back on the road to San Diego. They then fly up to Chicago and then have to fly back down to Houston. No days off in between any of those games.
And it's a 4-game set.
It's literally a 10 game stretch where the Mariners have no days off. Yet we have 2 days off in between. We have a 2-game series sandwiched in between 2 days off. What the hell are we doing? like I was looking at it earlier and I'm like, I looked at it and I'm really trying to understand, like, why couldn't you have just moved this game back a day?
Yeah.
And like had maybe this even be a 3-game series versus the Angels, have them play tomorrow and then have an off day baked in there somewhere instead when you have to travel 3 effing times to all the way across the country and back. What are we doing? Heck the Astros. You know what I mean? Also, great time to mention that you could get this brand new Heck the Astros shirt with the fourth wall link in the description down below, as well as Joe's hat. our new merch on our new platform. That was all a ploy. It was all a ploy.
We aren't honest for a second up here. I lied about Operation Overreaction. You lied about your gripe with the scheduler. My actual, physical, real, tangible Operation Overreaction. Synonyms. Places. You doubt the longevity and the sustainability of Jorge Polanco. You doubt him. By season's end.
Okay.
By season's end, there will be 3 Seattle Mariners position players that will receive top 15 MVP votes.
Wow.
There will be 3 players for the Seattle Mariners that will finish in the top 15 in MVP voting.
Can I guess, though?
Well, yeah, they're the easy ones.
It's Cal, Julio, and it's Jorge Polanco.
Correct.
Yeah.
I think Polo, he will not sustain a WRC plus over 200.
Right.
I think he could easily finish at like a 160. And given how high he's already played, like how his start to the season, if he's league average at best or plays to his previous baseball card, his previous baseball reference, I know he's never had an OPS plus or WRC plus near 160. But has he ever had a month where he's had an OPS plus above 200? I don't know. Fully off the top of my head. We'd have to dig a little bit deeper. But with the success and all the breakdowns of his current more compact swing, Mark DeRosa on MLB Network's done a couple great breakdowns on him specifically. A 160 WRC plus by season's end, I feel like that's enough for a top 15 MVP finish. If the counting stats are there, if it's 25 homers and 100 RBI driven in.
So let me ask you this.
Yes.
In 2021, Jorge Polanco put together his highest OPS plus of his career.
In 2021. Okay.
It was a 125.
Okay.
OPS plus. He hit 269, 323, 503 with an 826 OPS.
Yeah.
He hit 33 home runs with 98 RBI.
Okay.
Best year of his career for a 125 OPS plus.
Sure. I mean, the average is low. It's 269. His average is damn near 400 right now.
Right.
It's not going to sustain, but it's not going to drop down to 269.
But a 160 OPS plus?
Sure. Why not?
Brother, I think has to hit 50.
No shot.
To have a 160 OPS plus?
No.
You keep talking. Talking.
What was Julio's OPS plus in his rookie year? Where he hit less than 30 home runs.
Julio's OPS plus in his rookie year
was 147 with less than 30 home runs. And in batting average below, what, 280? Or is it 284?
284.
Like, I think if Polo's hitting 280, 290, with the extra base hits, and he's also not going to get the plate appearances to mitigate like coming down as hard. He's not going to play 150 games. He's not going to have 600 plate appearances. Like he will play 130 games and have like 500 plate appearances, but he's not going to have enough, I guess, like exposure to dip below as far as you were thinking with a 125. And I know are you going to argue me on Julio at all? Because I feel like Cal, he's well on his way to a top 15, I think. If he keeps playing this well. Yeah. Which I think he has shown that he can be streaky. Maybe he's experiencing a small little slump now. But Cal's shown in the past that he can get out of it pretty quick.
I just think that if Jorge Polanco puts together an OPS plus higher than Julio's highest career OPS plus of 147,
sure,
I will buy a Jorge Polanco jersey in every color.
Every single color. You're gonna get rainbow Jorge Polanco.
No, every Mariners jersey.
No, but that's what I'm saying.
Like collecting like a rainbow set of cards. Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
I will get a polo jersey in every single Mariners jersey color.
If he has an OPS plus of higher than 147.
So yes, at the end of the year.
Oh, I'm begging that he has a 148.
Imagine.
You're going to be sweating that by the end of the year.
Yeah.
It's too high. He's too high to come down that quick.
It's 1 month.
Yeah. And he's looked insane.
What if he's ass the rest of the year.
What in his career outside of last year would show that he would be that bad for the rest of the season?
Let me say we need to have a qualified amount of plate appearances because
Oh,
no, listen.
Oh, sure.
Listen,
Oh, sure. I see what
because
you're
he
saying.
gets hurt
Sure.
all the time.
Sure. I think
I'll say if he has
450.
Okay, I was just gonna say 400. I'll take 450.
Ah, damn it! Can I barter you down to 425?
We'll meet in the middle. Let's do 425 ABs. Mark it down.
No, you said plate appearances.
Sorry, plate appearances. 425 plate appearances at the end of the year. If at the end of the year he has an OPS plus above 147, I'm buying a rainbow set.
So Polanco last year had 469 plate appearances.
Mm-hmm.
He's only hit that mark 1, 2, 3, 4. He's hit it 5 times. If he's playing this well, he's going to see the opportunity. I think he can do it. I think he can do it.
This might be the most opposed that either of us have been to the other's Operation Overreaction so far this year.
You're just not a Polo believer, and I get it. I think last year's scary.
A 125 OPS plus Polo.
Oh, it was great.
It's fantastic. Yeah. If that happens, I think he's still top 15.
Nah, no shot.
You don't think so?
He's DHing. He's not.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
That's why he needs like the 160 to really propel himself into those voters.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, as a DH, it's a lot harder. I didn't think about that.
Yeah,
still not going to happen. But anyway, we have a series to talk about going on down in Texas starting on Friday. Game 1, Bryan Woo versus Jack Leiter. Bryan Woo made his major league debut down in Texas.
Didn't go well
at all. Now, in his few times he has played it or pitched against Texas so far, obviously they've seen him a decent amount. Adolis Garcia is hitting 310 at-bats with a homer off of him. We have Wyatt Langford, who's hitting 333, albeit only 3 ABs with a home run off of him. Marcus Semien, 455 and 11 ABs with a home run. And Leody Taveras has a home run off of him in 9 ABs as well. There is nothing. It hasn't been listed on MLB.com yet as Jack Leiter, so I can't look at his numbers versus the Mariners right off the top of my head. But Bryan Woo versus the Texas Rangers, I feel good. He's been the Mariners' best pitcher so far this year. And I think that versus the Rangers team that I think has been struggling a little bit over the past few games, haven't they?
4-6 their last 10. Facing the Athletics again this evening. That game is not finished yet. So they could be 3-7 their last 10 or 5-5 their last 10. That's how that works. But yeah, they've definitely kind of come back down to earth in terms of like winning the close games. Like they have a negative run differential still. So they're not playing very well away. They're 5-10. But they're 11-4 at home, which does not bode necessarily well for the Mariners as the Rangers were playing them in Texas. But on the road, the Mariners, they're 6-6, looking to jump above the 500 mark. Woo's already faced Texas this year, albeit in Seattle. But 7 innings, 6 hits, 1 earned, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts. I mean, I'll take that every day of the week, twice on Sunday, especially in Texas against the Rangers. Kicking off the series on a good foot for Woo, I think would be big for the Mariners just in general as far as like vibes are concerned. It's nice that they have an off day. The bullpen will be rested, and I think that's a good thing just in general that they are able to rest. Yes, it will bite them in the ass as they go through their gauntlet of games. One.
The behind, Joseph.
1 is fine, all right? 1 is fine. The Mariners still have the second best offense in all of baseball by WRC+. They're still kicking the heck out of a lot of the teams. The other team's pitching staff. The Rangers currently sit at 91 WRC+, 24th in all of baseball, just a little bit ahead of the Angels, who were 26th. The Rangers have not had a very potent offense. The pitching has been what's kept them in games and keeping them afloat. They've got a 3.14 team ERA on the year. The Mariners currently sit at a 3.74. Granted, some of those things could change for Texas as their game is not finished, but pitching advantage, even though it looks like it's in Texas's favor. In game 1, yes, Jack Leiter, very highly touted prospect. We know the tape, I think, specifically on Leiter, but Woo is the better pitcher and should give you an advantage in game 1, so you can set the tone on the road heading into game 2.
Yeah, Patrick Corbin on the mound.
By the way.
Patrick Corbin, the corpse of Patrick Corbin, is on the mound versus the Mariners with Luis Castillo opposing him. Left-handed pitcher, obviously you're going to have the right-handed lineup out there. On the year, Patrick Corbin has a 3.79 ERA, which is honestly pretty surprising. 4 games pitched, 19 innings pitched with a 7.11 Ks per 9. So like, Patrick Corbin maybe reinventing himself at the ripe old age of 35 with the noted good at pitching development and keeping guys healthy Texas Rangers, by the way.
Yes.
He will be opposed once again by Luis Castillo. Luis has had an interesting year so far. One that I think you could say a lot of people saw it coming, with him having some issues with his command, but overall, he's been fine, Joe.
I think a lot of people penciled him in as, yeah, he's probably the Mariners' number 3 or number 4 heading into the year, and that's okay. This is where he's at in his career. A lot of plateau as far as his velocity is concerned. It's starting to take a dip, and that's going to have him plateau as a pitcher just in general as far as success rates are concerned. I'm trying to see, did he pitch? If Wu pitched against Texas, did Castillo pitch against Texas?
I think he did, because that was, and keep in mind that was also a sweep of the Rangers that the Mariners put together.
He did not pitch against Texas. Okay. But I mean, a get me right start against Miami his last time out, 6 innings, 1 hit, 2 walks, 5 Ks. Yes, it's against the Marlins in the game after Gilbert gets injured, where they stomp them into the ground 14-0. But 6 innings of one hit ball. I mean, that's going to play no matter where you go and who you're facing. It's a matter of whether or not he can go into Texas. I feel like, I mean, he's a veteran. He's a guy that can go into anywhere and pitch well enough. Like, I'm not concerned about Castillo necessarily. Yes, the velo can be a problem, especially if he leaves something hanging out over the plate, because the Rangers, I mean, we penciled them in as the best offense in the American League West to start the year, like on paper before games were being played. We didn't expect Jock Peterson to go 0 for 41 for a stretch or whatever. Like, Semien just not hitting the ball hard at all. So there's guys in the Rangers offense that can torment Luis Castillo if he is not efficient, and that's the problem that he's faced so far this season, is inefficiency on the mound. I think luckily for the Mariners, it is opposite Patrick Corbin. Yes, he's been okay on the year, but Corbin, oh God, he diced the Mariners up in what, 23?
Oh no. Yeah, when I was in Atlanta,
I think that in the Nationals.
Yes, that's right. Why? That is a repressed memory.
That's probably a repressed memory for a lot of people.
In my brain.
I'm very sorry. I think if you're gonna lose a game, I hope it's not that one, because Game 3 is not an advantageous pitching matchup with DeGrom taking the final game for Texas opposite, fresh off his debut, Logan Evans.
Yeah, Evans pitched really well in his debut, but we saw it with Brian Wu last year going into Texas. Might be a little scary. I think Bryce Miller also had a bad go of it down in Texas last year, or shortly after his debut.
Mm-hmm.
So Logan Evans, I mean, fingers crossed, he's going to be facing a pretty good lineup still. I mean, Semien, Seager, etc. Like, they may not be hitting right now, and who would have thought the Mariners would be the best offense in the American League West?
True. Langford was injured when we played the Rangers the first time, right? And he's back.
Yep.
So that, I think, is an extra wrinkle to the Rangers offense that the Mariners pitcher should be wary of.
I would like to say that when the Mariners and Rangers play each other, they faced DeGrom already once this year, and it was his shortest outing of the season. He only went 4 innings pitched, gave up 3 hits, 3 runs, 2 homers in that game, and walked 4 and struck out 4. So for the Mariners, the key will be to get DeGrom out of the game.
Yeah.
When DeGrom is good, he's probably the best pitcher in baseball.
He's still got it.
But if you're able to work his pitch count and get him out of the game early and get to that bullpen, you might be able to give Logan Evans a lead, maybe, and then just hope he can keep it. It's going to be tough. I think that is the game where I feel decent about the first 2 games, which means those are probably the ones they'll lose, and they'll win this game with Logan Evans versus Jacob DeGrom.
You think they're going to snap their 7-game series win streak?
Good point. They'll lose game 1 and win the next 2.
Because that's what the Mariners do in 2025.
That's exactly right. So yeah, big series versus the Rangers. If you're able to take this series, you are 1 win, or if you somehow sweep this series, which I think is very unlikely, If you sweep this series, you're 1 win away from taking the season series versus the Rangers at the beginning of May. And that bodes really well for you at the end of the season. I hope that this is a series win for the Mariners. I could easily also see this going, them only getting 1 win in Texas. And if that's the case, it sucks, but it's okay because of how well they've been playing recently. But we'll just have to wait and see. For now, we appreciate you guys watching episode 187 of the Hit It Here podcast, and go Mariners.